So the Pistons decided to buy out Blake Griffin's contract, and he's set to become an unrestricted free agent. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what his potential landing spots could be. Now I'm back with another video, and the reason why I haven't uploaded in the past like 2 months is because I needed to find my camera, and I finally found it because the NBA community on YouTube is starting, they're starting to use cameras. They just stopped using the highlights and everything. And it's gonna be way more visual things that you see in this video. So anyways, I hope the new video format you guys will like. But anyways, let's get into the video. This is Blake Griffin's first season coming back after having a significant injury, which only sidelined him for almost all of the season. He only played 18 games. In those 18 games, he averaged around 15, 4, and 3 on terrible splits. Is way below league average. On to this season, he's averaging around 12, 5, and 4 on still relatively terrible shooting splits. Now, I will defend Blake Griffin in this case because he's playing under Dwayne Casey. That guy is a terrible coach. He should not be in the league. They tried having him as the main scoring option in the primary ball handler, which having Blake Griffin as a primary ball handler, that is not something that you want to have for a team. So I don't know what the hell he was doing there. And the reason why I say that is because if you go back and look at his stats and how he played compared to how he played in Detroit, he was never on ball as much as he was in Detroit because he had Chris Paul, a good point guard that knew how to get him in his spots. And I'm gonna talk about it later, but if he were to go to a team with a good point guard, I think his talents could still be maximized, or whatever is left of his talents, if you get what I'm saying. He's only been shooting about 36% ever since he's been in Detroit, and which is god awful, obviously. But if you look back when he was playing with Chris Paul and the Lob City Clippers, he shot, every single year he shot around 50%, 55%, and he wasn't always a good jump shooter. Obviously, everybody knows that. You could honestly compare him to Zion Williamson, only he's like a little bit shorter and way heavy. Only Zion is like way shorter and heavier. So, but if you've been living under a rock and you don't know how Blake Griffin plays, dude was extremely athletic back in his prime, or we could call it his prime, because he could give you 20 a night and only take layups and dunks. He really was an incredible jump shooter, like I said, because he wasn't a three-point shooter. He never has been one. He's been working on it, but I don't think it would be, league average, if you get what I'm saying. Now, given all the stats I just threw at you, it would be apparent that he has fallen off, but no, that is not the case. So if we were to go to a contending team with a good point guard, ding ding Brooklyn Nets, James Harden, or any other team with a good point guard, I should say, he could still get maximized. And if Blake Griffin actually prioritizes winning a championship the way that a lot of older stars do, then it would have to be at the cost of him being a starter and taking lesser of a role, just like what Carmelo's doing in Portland and some other older guys, except for LeBron, because LeBron is just LeBron. Now, a lot of people do have him landing with the Nets, and honestly, I think, that's just for, that's box office stuff, because Blake Griffin, he goes to Brooklyn with KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. But no, if you look at it from an X's and O's perspective, he would be coming off the bench, obviously, because them running that small lineup with Jeff Green at the 5, and then you have KD, Kyrie, and James Harden, and then Joe Harris. Obviously, he has no business starting. So what I'm about to say is kind of hypothetical, and I wouldn't necessarily count on it, but I wouldn't rule it out. But I will think that James Harden will be in a situation where he's on the court with the reserves and KD and Kyrie are resting. It's going to be times where he's on the court with the bench players. Now, if bench players equals Blake Griffin, that means Blake Griffin's going to get a lot of good looks playing against the bench, especially with James Harden leading the league in assists, averaging almost a triple-double. So his career could really be revived in Brooklyn. Perfect situation. Now, I forgot to mention some of his weaknesses. Some of the main weaknesses he has is obviously he's not a good defender, which I will get into that later, and his jump shooting abilities. So like I said, when he was in LA, he was never really a good jump shooter. However, I will list the stats that he had when he was shooting from the corner. He didn't shoot a lot of corner threes, but when he did, he shot around 48%. I do have the list right here. So it says he shot 43%, 50%, 48%, and 41%. Those are all from the corner, which is the easiest spot to get a three from. And him shooting 50%, 48%, 43, and 41, I think he's gonna be a corner sitter, basically, if he were to go to Brooklyn, if they want to space the floor with him. Now, other teams that could use him as a backup big man, two of the teams that come to my mind right off the top of my head is Portland and Miami, because they have a lack of bodies at the big man position, not necessarily center, but just power forwards and centers in general. Because I think the Portland Trailblazers, they only have Yusuf Nurkic, and that's about it. Like, they don't have a clear big actually outside of him. And the Heat, they only have Bam Adebayo and Kelly Olynyk. He needs to go to a team that's lacking bodies in the big man position. So, like I said, Miami, Portland. People did say the Lakers, but I seriously doubt he's going to go to the Lakers, because I just don't see it happening. I don't see it fitting well, and I just honestly don't see it happening, because the Lakers, they're fine where they're at. However, they do need an actual center, because but that's topic for another video. I was thinking a hypothetical situation where he goes to the Warriors. Now, like I said, you gotta listen to me on this one, because with Draymond being one of the best passers in the league today, right now, not ever, I'm just saying, like, right now, he's one of the better passers in the league. He will be able to get Blake Griffin to his spots, because he's able to get Curry to his spots. And when Klay Thompson comes back, if he stays long enough, it'll be Klay, Draymond, Curry, and Blake Griffin. Now, like I said, he's gonna come off the bench sometimes, but with Steph Curry demanding all of that gravity with him, and with Draymond Green being the facilitator of that team, and he's already a gifted enough passer to get non-shooters into their spots. If he were to be there when Klay gets back healthy, and with Andrew Wiggins shooting 35% from three, which is dead at league average right there, hopefully he keeps it up, because Andrew Wiggins, he's the roller coaster at the moment. If he were to keep that up and Klay Thompson comes back, and they somehow put Blake Griffin at the 5, I don't know how that works out because of what I'm about to talk about next, then that opens up the 5 out again, and the Warriors are back in contention. However, Blake Griffin's going to have to sit in the corner and make his shots. That's the only thing he would really have to do. But playing defense, that's really more of Draymond Green's role. He would have to take on the bigs and stuff, which is leading me into my next point. Now, according to NBA.com, they have Blake Griffin possibly as one of the worst defenders in the league right now. So according to NBA right here, Blake Griffin is allowing opponents to shoot 36% from three, which is above league average, slightly, but not above. And in 2-pointers, he's allowing 60%. Now, think about that. MJ, greatest mid-range shooter of all time, shoots 50% from mid-range. And Blake Griffin is allowing 60% from 2-pointers, or mid-ranges, or whatever you want to call them. And overall, it averages out to a 50%. So basically, needless to say, Blake Griffin is a terrible defender. Now, I do think some of those injuries that zapped his athleticism took some of that defensive capability away. Because if you think about it, defense is effort, and it's reactionary, but more of the effort thing. And if you're pretty athletic, that means your ceiling is high for being a defender, obviously. So with him being that bad of a defender, that's why I said he should come off the bench, because if he were to go to a contending team and be a backup playing with and against reserves, he wouldn't have to worry about getting torched on offense or getting torched on defense by the opposing big man, because there aren't a lot of big men that are scoring threats, like a pure scorer threat. They're mostly just stretch 4s, stretch 5s, or just rim protectors and rebounders, if you get what I'm saying. So they're not the type of guy that'll come off the bench and give you 20. So yeah, he'd come off the bench. He has to play serviceable defense, but he doesn't have to play all NBA defense. But if he wants to prioritize winning a championship, he has to sign with a contender, and he has to take lesser of a role on that team in order for those guys to be successful, in order for him to get his well-coveted ring. I know a lot of guys don't even get in his position where he is a free agent at 31 years of age, and they have contenders trying to sign him. And I think what those actual good teams are looking at is that's Dwayne Casey that was coaching him. So, and he's not even a good coach, because they had this guy as a primary ball handler and the main option. And obviously it was apparent from the LA Clippers days that he is not the number one option on a contending team. So if he were to come off the bench and have lesser of a role, it'll make it easier on him and easier on the team, because they wouldn't have to worry about that guy starting and giving up, 40 from, Joel Embiid or somebody that is, at the 4 that will just torch him. But let me know what y'all think, and if I'm wrong about it or y'all just want a discussion about this, drop a comment and we'll talk about it. Now, like I said, I will be uploading more NBA videos like this format right here, where I have the video of me and I'm just throwing out random pictures and stats and stuff. So if you guys did enjoy this video and want to see more, subscribe for more, like the video because it helps with the YouTube algorithm. And I do have my socials in the description. But other than that, I'll see you guys later next video. Goodbye.